I have uncovered some documentation that is sloppy AF. I found some dirt. Welcome to Bubblegum BYTE, my very first YouTube channel. Today, I want to talk to you about Sloppy, the opposing counsel in Britney Spears' conservatorship case, Alex Weingarten. We call him Sloppy because his documents are so sloppy. I found some sloppy docs. What is it? A lawsuit from his previous secretary for discrimination, sex discrimination, and disability discrimination. Isn't that interesting considering the Free Britney movement is a feminist movement about disability rights? So this is dating back to like 2019. It's from a time when he was working at this firm called Venable LLP. He was working with this other guy, Dan Silverman, and they were partners at the firm. But the abuse didn't start at the firm. The alleged abuse started when this secretary was already working for Alex Weingarten. And she was hoping that when they switched firms to Venable, that Sloppy would stop abusing her. So the filing starts out with this secretary outlining the abuse of Dan Silverman. Basically saying that this other partner was like red in the face, yelling at her, repeatedly humiliating and demeaning her in front of colleagues in a busy legal office. She fled and then he chased her down. She was literally on her hands and knees in panic. There was a pattern of abusive conduct by male partners at Venable. Misogyny. Surprised? No. She said the abusive conduct was mainly because of her being a woman. The conduct began when Miss joined Venable along with partner Alex Weingarten, a known office bully. Became worse when he faced the pressures of performing as a partner at an international law firm. He could not handle it. He would like yell at her and say like that she was useless to him and like a child. Finally, he drove her from his desk after deciding that he deserved a young, attractive secretary like his partner, Douglas Humhoff, had. Her name was office code. This man had an office code for having a young, attractive secretary. Venable should be ashamed for permitting this conduct to go on for years. When Miss complained, which was not infrequently, she was told that the highest levels of management were hearing her complaints. There were no improvements in Weingarten's or Silverman's behavior. Miss was told when she complained that because of power yielded by Weingarten and Silverman, it would be almost impossible to find work for her that separated her from him. So he was just like all over the office. So she couldn't even get away from him. And that's what upper management told her when she informed them about the abuse. So instead of sitting them down and having them at least change their behavior, they just wanted to separate them. Like, accountability? Nah. At the same time, Venable was pretending to listen to Miss complaints. It began a polite but persistent campaign to make working there as unpleasant as possible. So then they isolated her from her colleagues and moved her desk. And then they reassigned her over and over again, which would prevent her from establishing a fulfilling work relationship. So she wasn't able to like get to know people around her or get into like a rhythm because they would every time would reassign her to a different desk. Within a year and a half, they assigned her to 7 different desks. Because of her switching, she wasn't even allowed to get overtime or bonuses. This poor woman. The abuse Miss suffered, coupled with Venable's retaliation, has seriously compromised her health and ability to continue to work as a highly compensated legal secretary. Miss may never fully recover. They traumatized her. Like, it's saying that they traumatized her. She may never fully recover. I don't know why this should ever have even ever existed, but it says the days when an attorney can make enough money to excuse the verbal abuse and humiliation of the woman that worked for them are over. Did you hear that, Slappy? Those days are over. You can no longer verbally abuse women. You want to try to depose Britney? Even the women that work for him, he wants to humiliate. He tried to pull with me. This is my response. Legal staff is not required to tolerate or even babysit lawyers through tantrums supposedly caused by stress or pressure. Verbal abuse and humiliation alter the terms and conditions of the employment. When this conduct is directed at women, it is sex discrimination. So then it goes on to talk about this secretary and who she is. She graduated from UCLA, she has a JD, she's been a secretary for 25 years. Before she was working at Venable, she was working with Alex Weingarten since 2011. She's over 40 years old at the time. Alex Weingarten, he's the defendant. He's an attorney licensed in California at Venable LLP. And it just like goes on to talk about him. Apparently he was like in the Los Angeles County Superior Court. Like, that's so scary, like, ew. And then it says that he has been sued for discrimination before. So this isn't even his first discrimination lawsuit. And I tried to find that lawsuit. I can't wait to find it. Then it talks about this guy, Dan Silverman. He's the other defendant in the case. Same deal, partner at Venable. And they break down some of the facts in the case. Miss again working for Alex Weingarten before he joined Venable. After he joined Venable, Miss continued working for him at the new firm. Prior to Venable, Weingarten would engage in rage-filled, humiliating tantrums directed at women who worked for him, including Miss. He was sued for discrimination prior. So she's saying that the other person who sued him prior was also for discrimination and was also a previous woman who worked for him. After joining Venable, Miss hoped that Venable would exert some restraining influence over Alex Weingarten's abuse. The opposite happened, so it actually got worse. For example, in October 2014, Weingarten complained about a mistake on a cease and desist letter that Miss had finalized. He called Miss and screamed at her on the phone. I believe this, he screamed at me, calling her useless to him for her mistake. Later that day, she went out of her way to call Weingarten privately and alert him that he had a problem he needed to deal with. When she tried to warn him, he screamed at her, including, "I'm on vacation." Should I say that to him next time I see him? Should I wear a shirt that says, "I'm on vacation"? You, dude. Should I wear a shirt that says, like not your "Oh, I'm on vacation"? Literally. In the summer and fall of 2017, Weingarten's behavior began to worsen. Weingarten habitually criticized Miss for calendar conflicts he created. Weingarten regularly changed his mind about partner credit submissions and then later accused Miss of getting it wrong in the first instance. He would routinely refer to Miss issues with numbers as a reason she was wrong and he was always right. He yelled routinely and called her a child. Miss issues with numbers is a condition known as dyscalculia. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Weingarten was well aware of her diagnosis and that it limited her majority life activities. Weingarten was actively looking to move Miss off his desk. One day, for example, Miss was meeting with to discuss another matter. When Weingarten walked in on the meeting, Miss should be assigned to do filings and work with Jeff Logan and Eric Bigwall so he could have himself a. This is not the first or last time that Weingarten referred to as a euphemism for a trophy secretary. Later that day, Silverman exploded at Miss again. He was shouting and red in the face. He was out of control and scary. Finally, humiliated in front of many coworkers, Miss got up and left her work area with the assistance of a coworker. Silverman continued to berate her in front of the coworkers as she left the area and went into the hallway common area. Literally, this woman was on the floor, hands and knees in the hallway, and he rushed past her, screaming at her. He ended with an attempt to excuse his conduct because of his difficult month. So he tried to make an excuse for himself because he's had a hard time. It's just been really hard for him. It's just really hard being a total. On her way home from work, Miss lost consciousness behind the wheel of her parked car. Thank God it was parked. And then she was rushed to the emergency room and evaluated for a heart attack. Miss was too sick to work until April 1st, 2019, as a result of the attack on her by Silverman. He spent weeks investigating what happened to her and underwent an EKG, wore a heart monitor, underwent arterial ultrasounds, and multiple blood tests. This woman was in the hospital. Because she was found behind the wheel of her car, she was told she would need medical clearance to legally drive again. Dude. The doctors concluded Miss Robbie suffered a severe and debilitating anxiety attack. They literally drove this woman to have an anxiety attack. That's what she's saying in here. Since returning to work in April, she feels ostracized by management and staff, isolated from the entire litigation department, including her coworkers, and does not feel that her talents are put to good use. Okay, so now we have the cause of actions, the counts. Count 1, sex discrimination because of her sex by subjecting her to unfair discipline, demeaning and humiliating treatment. Defendants did not direct their abusive conduct at men. Count 2, retaliation against Venable. Plaintiff attempted to report sex, age, and disability discrimination to Venable Human Resources. Plaintiff reports, rather than solving the problem, started a retaliatory campaign to terminate her or force her to quit. Such a move. As a result of Venable retaliation against her, plaintiff has suffered lost income as well as severe mental anguish and physical injury. Defendant's conduct was oppressive, malicious, and fraudulent. Count 3, disability discrimination. Weingarten, Silverman, and Venable harassed plaintiff because of her disabilities. He harassed her for her disabilities. This is the man that wanted to depose Britney. This man who literally harassed somebody, according to me, or harassed her for her disabilities. And this is the man who wants Britney's medical records leaked, and they want Britney to pay his fees. Absolutely fucking not. Count 4, intentional infliction of emotional distress. I feel like he did that to me. It's either intentional that they were causing emotional distress or that it was just reckless, because it's really obvious that would cause emotional distress. Bro, she's on the ground. She's literally on the floor in a panic attack. And you're still screaming at her. Be a professional. You're in a legal office. You're a lawyer. Get it together, bro. Get it together. Defendant's conduct was oppressive, malicious, and fraudulent. Fraudulent. Count 5. Negligent infliction of emotional distress. Defendant allowed or participated in extreme and outrageous conduct that breached their duties to plaintiff. Count 6. Age discrimination. Defendant discriminated against plaintiffs because of her age, providing younger women better assignments and opportunities to earn bonuses and advancement. Ew, just the word advancement there creeps me out, because it's already saying that he provided better opportunity with the younger, more attractive women. It makes me feel bad for the woman who sits beside him in court. Plaintiff is entitled to restitution for money that should have been paid. Ew, they kept some of her money. She's give me your fucking money. Seeks money damages as permitted by law. Seeks penalties. Get in fucking trouble. And the last page is a demand for trial, for jury trial. And it was submitted in 2019, in August 2019, and I haven't seen any other documentation about it. I don't know what happened. It went out of the court. What do you think happened? It went out of the court. Why? Where? How? In here, they talk about other discrimination filing from another previous secretary. Another previous female secretary. I want to see it. I want to read it. I want to know what's in there. Is it the same thing? Probably, because literally the things that are in here are things that I picked up on him at court. Like the red in the face and stuff. Like he is that. He intentionally causes me emotionally distress. Like, okay, yeah, like I do boo him. Like I boo him. Like he should be booed. Like look at this. Like he should be booed. Boo. Boo. And we need to talk more about mental abuse. We need to talk more about psychological abuse. We need to talk more about verbal abuse. Because one day, it's screaming down the hall at a woman on the floor. When does it turn into physical? And it doesn't need to be physical. Mental abuse affects you physically. This woman went to the hospital. They thought she had a heart attack. Thank you for fighting for justice. Thank you for keeping records on these abusers. It is so important to highlight emotional abuse because fuck that and fuck that. And with that, bubblegum biters, I'm out.